Now, first and foremost, it's important to understand that any time there's a problem, it's always the network. And even if it's not the network, still blame the network. Of course, that's tongue-in-cheek. Let's run through some of the most common network troubleshooting tools. We'll run through some of the theory first, and then jump onto the command line and run through some examples. First up, the infamous packet internet groper, affectionately known as ping. Ping is probably the best known command line tool in the entire world of computing, and it's pretty simple. It tests whether or not a remote device is reachable over the IP network. As an example, if you're logged on to server A and want to know if server A can reach and communicate with server B, just ping server B. It's as simple as typing the word ping on the command line of server A, followed by a space, and then entering either the IP address or the DNS name of server B. Then, depending on the response you get back, you can tell if the remote system server B is up and running and communicatable over the IP network or not. Fibre Channel also has a ping-like utility called FC Ping, and it works in a similar way to ping, only, as you might guess, on a Fibre Channel network. Normally, you'd give FC Ping the worldwide port name of a remote device that you want to test connectivity to. So on the command line of a switch, or a host that's got the FC Ping utility installed, you just type FC Ping followed by the worldwide port name of a remote SAN attached device. If you get a success back, then the remote device is accessible, meaning that the device is zoned and visible on the fabric. If FC Ping can't reach the remote device, then there's a good chance that either the device isn't on or cabled into the SAN, or that the two devices are not zoned to each other. Similar to ping is traceroute. Both ping and traceroute work under the hood by sending ICMP echo request packets and receiving ICMP echo responses. But traceroute shows additional information over ping. Traceroute outlines the path through the network that a packet takes on its way to a destination. And this can be useful in determining things such as whether or not packets are taking optimal routes through the network, and whether or not they're hitting things like firewalls en route through the network. And incorrectly configured firewalls can be an issue. If you have firewalls on your network and they aren't configured properly to allow either management traffic through, or maybe CIFS, NFS or iSCSI traffic through, then you'll be in a world of hurt. For example, if upgrade work has just been done on firewalls on your network, and suddenly you can no longer see your storage, or suddenly you can no longer log on to your storage arrays and manage them, there's a good chance that something has changed on your firewalls that's stopping your traffic getting through. So incorrectly configured firewalls can be a major problem. Similarly, having incorrect VLAN settings on two devices, or the two communicating devices being on the wrong VLANs without a router to connect them, then your devices won't be able to communicate. That's because two VLANs are effectively two separate layer 2 networks, and as such they need a router to route traffic between them. Another popular network related troubleshooting tool is ipconfig in Windows and ifconfig in Linux. These commands both show the current configuration of your network adapters and can point out issues such as incorrect IP addresses, or maybe even the lack of an IP address, the lack of a default gateway, or the lack of or incorrect DNS servers. For example, not having an IP address or the correct IP address will obviously stop a system from communicating on the IP network. A default gateway is required to escape from the layer 2 network that your device is on. And DNS servers convert host names like www.pluralsight.com to IP addresses, and after all, computers work with IP addresses. DNS names like pluralsight.com and the likes are just to make our lives as humans easier, so that translation between DNS names and IP addresses is vital. Closely linked to DNS servers is the command line utility NSLookup. NSLOOKUP allows you to determine whether or not a particular DNS server is able to convert names to IP addresses and vice versa. Okay, so let's put a few of these network troubleshooting tools together and move from the slides to the command line of a Windows machine.